Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
What is the difference between a Democrat and a socialist?
The greatest crisis today is not the Middle East, it's not Iraq, it's Syria, but it's climate change.
All the people don't have freedom, all the people don't have justice, and all the people don't have power, so that means none of us do.
The big government lovers painted a picture of doom and gloom in 2011.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
We see it in the STEM program. You know, people have talked about this STEM program being such a great deal.
Welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable, your all-access pass to the 2016 Black Conservative Revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now, here are your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
Well, good morning. This is Chris Levels and Professor George Moss. We are both from Flint, Michigan, filling in for Dale Marsh and Phil Stargell this morning. We'd like to welcome you to the Abolitionist Roundtable, and we're very pleased to be here. Although I didn't know if we were actually going to make it, we were taking a tour of the area, and we found that Dixboro is very lovely this time of year, but we did make it, and we're happy to do so. So what we're going to be talking about today is the controversy, we're part of the controversy of the Constitution argument and the eligibility of candidates like Rubio and Cruz. And we're also going to have a special guest on, Ralph Epperson, who is a historian, an author, and a lecturer. And he's going to be giving his take on why the Congress has been so inefficient, evil, whatever you want to say in terms of supposedly stopping the tyranny under Obama and why they've been complicit in going along with everything he's done. So, George, would you like to say hello to the audience?
I want to say good morning to all of the listeners. We're very happy to be here this morning. We come in from Flint, as Chris was saying, and we're looking forward to a very informative program.
Well, George, I think a lot of people would like to know, since Flint is all over the news concerning the quality of our water. And when I called in last week to let the audience know that I was going to be here this week, I let them know that I had actually attended the council meetings during that time and that I was there for the vote. I saw that these Democrats sat up there and voted 7-1 in favor of the plan, and that I did not see Governor Snyder anywhere in attendance during that time. But, you know, what's your take on what's going on at home?
Let me go back to 1966 is when I came into the city of Flint. We had a very bustling city. You know, General Motors is home. The home of General Motors is Flint. And it was a booming town. We had 80,000 workers at General Motors. The city's coffers were filled. And I think that we got a little complacent in terms of things were very easy. I started teaching school in 1966. And I had students telling me in the classroom in junior high school, Mr. Moss, we can go across the street right now and get a better job than you have. It pays more money. And that was really true. They could, when I went to the high school later on, there were students bringing their cars in the parking lot. They were driving bigger cars than the teachers were driving, because they would go to school in the daytime, and then in the evening they go and work in the plant. And so business was booming, and money was coming in, the costs were filled. And I think we got really complacent, thinking that those times would be those times forever. And what happened over time was that the tax base, General Motors began to move out of the plants, closing plants down. And over time, what began to happen is that tax base that was there for such a long period of time began to erode. And as General Motors was pulling out and the downsizing of the workforce from 80,000 to 10,000, I think that over time what began to happen is that what we are saying, we began to see the deterioration in the city. And we began to see the tax base no longer providing the resources to maintain infrastructure. And we've come now to about 40 years from that point. And over time, we see the vestiges of that fallout from the fact that we did not take care of a lot of things that we had the resources to take care of at that time. And now that we don't have the resources, again, those chickens have come home to roost, and we're now seeing that those legacy costs that should have been paid on the way to this moment, those costs were not paid. And now that we are not that city anymore, and having a long-range problem incubated over time, we now have an infrastructure that's collapsed, and we don't have the resources to take care of it.
Would you say that this could probably be a microcosm of a macrocosm of the United States and the inner cities, that we're probably not alone in our infrastructure mess right now?
Chris, I was looking at a map, and I was looking at I was surprised to find how many of the cities have a problem lead in their water. It's not just Flint. I mean, we have a problem, and this is what everybody's talking about because they want to racialize the situation. It is not racial. It's the same thing that's going on inside these cities that have been run by the Democratic Party pretty much. And there is a consistency that we see. We see it in Flint. We're seeing some of the same problems in these other urban cities, and they're managed the same way. They have the same problems. And they're saying one of the things they're saying is that it's going to take $100 million at a minimum to fix the problem, because now it's no longer about changing the water source. We went from Detroit water and we started using the local water, and now they want to switch back to Detroit, but the water is going through pipes that are corroded. And it doesn't really matter what water supply you're using. The corrosion is in the pipes.
Well, I think we ought to just split the $100 million amongst the residents to relocate and shut Flint down, and then problem solved. No problem. Are we coming up on a break here, Derek, pretty quick? Okay. All right. Well, when we come back, we are going to have Ralph Epperson on the line, and I'll give him a proper introduction at that time. We can go to break, and when we come back, you'll be on with Chris and Professor Moss, hosting for the Abolitionist Roundtable this morning.